Okay, so here's the Malibu. I'll make you a little video on just some general stuff. If we sit there and talk, you listen to everything, get excited, and forget everything, which is what I do. I'm just so wrapped up. It's like, what did they say? Okay, so hopefully this will help. I'm not very good at videos, but it'll help. Okay, so starting from the front, just some basic things. The front navigation light's retractable, so when you want to use it, just pop it up like that, red and green. There's an LED in there and turns on in the dash. I'll show you where that is. And it just stashes away. When you're not using it, up in the bow here, I think you saw all the storage stuff. Fire extinguisher is right up front there. They're supposed to be in a rack, and I do have the mount there, but I figured up in the front's the best place to put it, since if there was going to be a fire, it's probably in the back or the engine, so the safest place to have a fire extinguisher would probably be in the front. Just some there's some docking lines and storage there. Here's the center cushion piece, and it just sits in there like that. The glass here is a little wind blocker, but that's probably not used too much around here, maybe in the winter. But anyway, it blocks the wind. It's original with the boat, a little crack there, but I don't think anybody really uses those. All right, on the side, I think we talked about the tower. The bolts come out and it folds backwards. The retractable racks, just a little latch here, and they open up and fold in like that. Kind of handy if you're storing, putting boards or whatever. The fuel, there's the fuel fill. There's one on the other side. Real important when you do fill it, I always use like the first notch to keep the gas from really rushing in there and backing up and then spilling all over the side. I don't like that kind of thing. That's the fuel vent right there. Mooring cleat here, these things pop out like that and then back in. Trailering straps. The wedge, not the power wedge, but the wedge here, we just reach up and squeeze these two pins. But be careful when, I always like to hold it to let it, because it'll slam down. It's rather heavy. There's the next, this is the, it's a 911, Acme 911 prop. And then there's another, I included another prop too. This one's for surfing, and then there's the original one that's there. Let's see, what else? Same stuff on this side. There's a fuel port. And then, so we'll go inside when I come in. Good habit, I know. I told you I don't do it much, but the engine oil, here's the engine oil right here. Air cleaner here is just a reusable one that doesn't ever, you just need washed. I just washed it, just cleaned it up. Distributor, spark plug wires, everything's good to go. Yeah, check the oil whenever you take it out, just get in the habit of watching it. And then for the transmission fluid, under here, check that every now and then. It's right here in the little red dipstick there. There's the blower motor to vent, and it vents right here, so you get a really good airflow in there. There's an accessory plug here for a cigarette lighter type plug-in, and then the storage area right here. Everything fits nice and snug. The other storage area here, I don't know if y'all saw it or not, but little netting there, and then here's some of the surf stuff that's going to go with the boat, and I'll do another quick video explaining how to set it up for surfing. Cooler here, of course, and then this seat here, gas tank's under there. That one stays, that one's bolted, they're not bolted down, but screwed down underneath here if you ever have to access it. This center hatch here, there's a cover. This center hatch is kind of a pain to get out. You don't really need to get in here very often. And be careful if this ever comes up against the upholstery. I won't worry about bringing it up, but under there is access to the propeller shaft and the what's it called, the shaft seal, which has been replaced and adjusted properly to drip like one drop every 10 seconds. So it doesn't get too hot, it gets warm, but it's set up just right. So not something you really need to worry about too much, but good to know. So when we get on the boat, let's see, we got a throw device here, leaving that in there. The bumpers, little storage area there with another docking line. And then here is a plug wired up to the battery for the ballast pump, which I'll show you later. That's a little donut for the trailer, the front wheel here. Okay, so when we go in, there are 2 circuit breakers. Those were new too. So there's the main battery circuit breaker, and it's a little arm here that pushes up. And I always shut these off when I'm putting the boat away, just to keep the battery from draining if anything's left on. So just to trip them, just push the little red button. Battery down here, March of 2018. It never had any problems there. And then there's another circuit breaker. They barely see it there. That's for the amplifier. And so if you don't get any sound in the stereo, make sure you put that one on too if you want the stereo. The stereo will turn on, but the amplifier will not. Okay, when you get in here, the drain plug, the one we mostly use, is right here, just under this ski locker hatch. This is the center ballast bag in here, and when you fill it up, this little panel will raise up, but it won't pop out. So this will stay shut for you. Subwoofers under there, and amplifier behind it, and all the important electronics, hopefully never to be needed, never access needed. 13 people is a capacity, but that would probably be crazy to put 13 people in here. So when we get in the boat, turn on the power, and of course before powering up, or before turning on the engine, run the blower for a little bit. I apologize if I'm telling you stuff you already know. Stereo here, Bluetooth will pair, I think it's like MBT something. Depth finder, which will come on with the accessory on the key, and then when the engine's running, it's always on as well. Blower, bilge pump. This is for the ballast. Here, this will be for the rear right side, but actually it's just one big bag in the back, so it's the right pump. And this is also the left pump. So fill, drain, and this is the center one, which is right down here by my feet. So fill, drain, of course, on there. Horn, navigation light, anchor light, which is up on the top. I'll show you that. Dash and interior, and the interior lights will light up all the cup holders and the swim lights as well. And then these are the docking lights, like the headlights. These 2 accessory ones here, those are not, those are hooked up to nothing. So the battery hooks up to them, so they will turn on, the lights will turn on, but it's totally optional if you ever want to hook anything up to them. I have nothing hooked up to them because we didn't really need it. Everything's all accounted for. For the seat slides forward and backwards. Like there, obviously it's got a little seat riser there that lifts it up, which makes things a lot more comfortable. And then this is a seat bolster, sits you a few inches higher. And then to move the seat, it's locked in the position here, and this little lever lifts up here, and then it rotates as much as you want, all the way around, and doesn't hit anything, so I place it in a proper spot. But I'll just sit it forward for now. Circuit breaker panel. Circuit breakers are all under there, and there's an accessory plug as well. This is the safety lanyard, which they put in the boats when they're new with a little safety wire. I bypassed that. They're just a source of trouble, and I don't think I've ever seen anybody wear the safety lanyard around their wrist and fall out of the boat, and the boat will theoretically stop. So steering wheel tilt right there, just pull in, it tilts up and down. For the throttle, this will put it in gear for you here, forward, back, reverse. And then this button here, right here, if you pull it and then move the throttle forward, will allow just the engine to rev up, not in gear. It's something you don't really use. This little thing here, this has cutouts for a cup holder. It's kind of something I took it out and then refurbished it, but it can be put in. I prefer not. I like the leg room, so I never put it back in. All right, so let's see. In the glove compartment, USB is hooked up. I think it's switched. I think I had it switched. It's not to the hot battery, so it'll just when you have the circuit breaker on, it will be powered. We have the front navigation light. This is the anchor light. It's a white LED light, and what it does is instead of a pole in the back that you had to pull up and stick up, and it was kind of low, this one goes up here on top, and it just sits in there, and just plug it in, and that'll go on with that. That's the anchor light. Nice bright light, and nobody has to have it in their face. Speakers, these are the, you can change they have like LED lights when it flash when you're cranking it up. And so this, if you switch them, I think it's, if you take this little crossover off, it leaves the LED, there's no lights, and if you switch it, it'll go to red. So red, blue, off, whatever the party demands. Factory covered's not the best shape, but keep the boat inside, so may think about a new one there. Some ballast fittings in here. They have just some miscellaneous stuff. There's a hand mic for the radio. I don't think anybody used that. Some extra LED lights and just some miscellaneous parts that went with some things. We got the front ski mirror. This can be removed if it gets in the way. Just some hand screws, and you're required to have a mirror if you do not have a spotter. So, all right, that should about cover it. I can't think of anything else. Oh, perfect pass. That's what we'll do. We'll go over the perfect pass, the cruise control. So I'm just going to turn it on here and get the key. When we turn the boat on, you're going to get an alarm for oil pressure. And since it's not, I'm not going to start it, of course. But if there's no oil pressure, you get the beeping, and once the engine starts, it goes away. The perfect pass, actually, if I turned it on, it would just beep at us non-stop. So the perfect pass is just a cruise control. It's pretty simple to use. On, off, turn it on. It says in neutral, and you press the up button, and then it turns on and engages. And so basically what happens is you can set the speed there, with the arrows, and as the boat accelerates to that speed, you'll hear a beep, and that'll say the perfect pass is controlling the speed, and it'll control whatever speed you have programmed in there. So for surfing, about 11 miles an hour. For wakeboarding, around 15, 16, 17, whatever the rider prefers. But it does a really good job of holding the speed, so the driver doesn't have to. It has GPS speed on it, so it's much better in the waves, and the speedometer is also GPS. So I think that about covers it. Pretty simple, and then I'll make another quick one about setting things up for surfing.